Alright, hey folks, this is Rifkin. I'm here today casting with Gaming's Master Dalk. Sir, take us away.
Alright, so on Star Station, we have our Red Terran from FX Open Esports, all the way from Korea. He is the Towel Terran Gumio.
And his opponent in the upper left, he's spawning blue. He is Zerg. It is LiquidZenio. And just, this has nothing to do with anything relevant, but every time I read Gumio's name, it's so 4-year-old to me, but man, gummy bears are the first thing I think about. And I just start going, nom 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 in my brain.
Well, gummy bears are extremely tasty.
I guess we had a bit of a Korean pause there, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Going off of the wall of text that showers us. Now, Dalk, because I'm unfamiliar with you, and I'm sure other people are as well, I believe you mentioned you're a Protoss player, correct?
Yes, I am a Protoss player, but even though I am a Protoss player, I still know a lot about most of the matchups. I like to learn. And with StarCraft, since this game, its meta never stops changing, I get to learn a lot.
Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I really feel that every player, whether you're a professional or an amateur, like, they need to try each race at least once. I mean, today, for example, was the fabled day where Idra decided to try Terran, and there's so many things that you learn from playing Zerg that transfer over into your Terran play, and same vice versa. Like, Zerg players learn how to sim City from Protoss players, all of this good jazz. So, as casting, it's really extra nice, because you've got your knowledge, which you can then apply to, like, all the other races.
Yeah. And also, I think though Idra, he's just kind of tired of. Well,
really?
we all know. No, we all know that he enjoys DMing a lot. He complains about overpoweredness and whatnot. But I think though he's just trying to go back to his roots and play Terran again, because some people don't know this, but in Brood War he actually played Terran, and he was extremely good. He was so good he got on CJ Entis. So maybe he thinks that if he's Terran, he'll be able to benefit a lot more. And I feel like it's pretty cool, Idra playing Terran again.
Well, either way, Idra's not here today. We've got Gumiho and Zenio, and Gumiho, speaking of Terrans, is one of the better darn Terrans that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of the top, and though sadly, he did not qualify for DreamHack Winter.
Yo, I want to point out for just build order's sake of this game, I'm a little shocked we didn't see him open Reaper. It seems to be the very popular thing to do right now. Not even get more than one. A lot of players just investing for the scouting purpose, but also you can do that harass. As we saw, Zenio's gas not exactly super late, but it was slightly delayed, so that could have been some drone harass, some forced zerglings early on, any small minute number of things.
Yeah. I think though he didn't open Reaper is because he knew that Zenio would be opening Hatchery first. So with this, what he did try going for is he just opened up with a lot of Marines. He was going to be getting his gas a bit later and then dropping down that command center a lot quicker. This would allow him to keep up economically, and then he can open into any sort of other harass from that, most likely factory or starport based harassment, such as Hellbat drops or the kind of awkward 1 Widow Mine 6 Marine drop. But
you know what? That's the awkward one, but I really like the 2 Widow Mine 4 Marine drop. It's really cool because you split the Widow Mines between the natural and the main, and the Zerg player is instantly forced to make a ton of detection.
Yeah, and I feel like should he go for the 2 Widow Mine 4 Marine drop, it might work a bit better, especially since Star Station is so spread out once the Zerg gets 3 bases. So then you can like drop a Widow Mine at the natural, run to the 3rd or main, and then drop the last Widow Mine there as well as the Marines, and then deal a ton of damage economically, and it'll allow Gumio to just kind of get ahead.
Yeah, I was about to ask about how much he was going to invest in the Hellions, but he threw down those extra barracks right away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Gumio, I don't know if he's just played Zenio recently, is expecting a lot more aggression than what is actually coming, but he is playing very, very defensively. We see the bunker already up. We've got all this extra production on the way, and Widow Mines instead of Hellions. So, yeah, he's going to be kind of turtling in for a little bit.
Yeah. And again, also Star Station, it's a very big map. I guess these Widow Mines, it's also going to help with a bit of static defense, especially once he gets to those 3 bases, and then he can spread out his Widow Mines. He'll be safe from any sort of Zergling run-bys that try and show up. But of course, Widow Mines, they do not have their friendly fire on-off, because the Terrans didn't have that like Banelings, so he could actually destroy all his SCVs if he's not careful.
Don't even get me started on Friendly Fire, man. That's a whole nother can of worms. But I want to point out, one really nice thing about Star Station is despite the fact that it is in fact a really large map, as you pointed out, it's kind of like got this Neoplanet-esque middle of the map, where there's only 2 main hallways that seem to be taken, as you're constantly fighting through the middle of the map and very rarely taking engagements on the far top left, or sorry, far top right or bottom left. And we have the starport coming up for Gumiho. All of this, again, the timings for this is just so great for playing defensive. Nothing he's doing right now is really risky. He's going to get that third command center up eventually, but because he's getting the medevacs out, of course, he has to sacrifice minerals, all that good jazz. But Zenio, just happily, look at this. He's got extra queens. He's spreading his creep like a madman, and he's got his third hatchery down already. I don't think he's really worried about applying the pressure that Gumiho is expecting.
Well, he may actually get it. This Bailing Nest is probably what's ticking me off on this, but normally unless he's really trying to be super defensive against like multiple drops, I feel like the Bailing Nest, what he's gonna try doing is not do completely all-ins, but do some harassment with it, and it'll allow him to try and keep Gumiho down, suppress Gumiho into just 2 bases, and also with this +1/+1 for the Bailings and Zerglings, I don't know, he could try and hit a timing with that. I mean, that's a good point with +1/+1 coming, but the reality is he's going to know, like, there, you just confirmed, oh, yeah, to my surprise, there's Widowmines on the map, like... Yeah.
So we do have the Roaches instead, and I like this choice. Roaches are great mid-game scrapper units. It's very difficult to utilize Zerglings and Banelings early on without massive support, and if there's one unit that's really good at taking those Widowmine hits, it is certainly Roaches.
Yeah. And now with the lair almost finishing up, I feel like after a small attack, what Zenio could do is easily switch into his Spire play, but it looks like actually Gumiho is going to be the one that moves out first. And there isn't a lot of defense set up right now, just a couple Roaches, 4 Bailings, and a couple Zerglings, and with so many Widowmines, it'll be very easy for Gumiho to actually just step onto the creep, clear it off, and then step back behind the Widowmines, and then all the Bailings and Zerglings, should they follow, will pretty much die.
Well, speaking of Bailings and Zerglings following, none of them even getting to the Widowmines. Gumiho's just got too many Marines. They don't even have combat shield yet. These are the flimsiest, scariest Marines I think Zenio's ever seen. Because now, of course, the Widowmines moving forward, a beautiful spread as well, so Gumiho's going to have no problem retreating over these.
Yeah, and right now, oh, so many good Widowmine hits, but all the Marines are now dead. The Overseers are here as well. It looks like the Widowmines will be cleaned up. But right now, it's kind of weird because they both sacrifice the same amount, but I don't know, Gumiho, he was not able to deal a lot of harassment towards the economy.
You have to keep in mind, too, when a Zerg player trades evenly with the Terran, they never trade evenly. They're sacrificing Banelings to come out evenly. So we see Gumiho with another reinforcement pack, and Zenio doesn't have nearly as many Banelings as he had previous.
Yep, but right now he will be having a lot more Roaches. This will be helping, and 1/1 is finished up, so right now there is no +1 armor on the
Gumiho's gotta get out of here.
units.
This is not a good fight for him to take. He does have the Hellbats to assist him, but there's just so much here. He's just gotta lift up and leave. If he stays for this fight, the Banelings going off on the Hellbats, the Marauders and Marines still stand, but here comes that reinforcement of Zerglings. But Zenio's actually going to retreat from this.
Yeah, all his Banelings were used up on those Hellbats, and that's not what you want. The Hellbats will just tank so many Banelings before they die. Yeah, nice transfuse on that last Overseer there, and it's going to be helping. Right now, there's a couple of Marines over on the right side that need to be helped out, but it looks like they're just going to get picked up and fly just a bit farther back, and this will allow Zenio to get a few more Banelings, but Gumiho, he's still rallying more and more units across the map. Spire is on the way for Zenio, and
I like the way he's incorporating these Hellbats. This is actually a really nice competition for him, because they soak so much Baneling hits as well as Roach hits, and we see him just retreating behind them, same method as he would behind Marauders to get away from these Banelings, but he's coming out with the Marauders and the Marines alive, sacrificing only the Hellbats. Gumiho is going to just keep pushing in. Zenio, he's trying to get more Banelings in, but they're not going to be here in time. If Gumiho just moves up and snipes them off now, gonna pull back after getting the creep a little too early with his satisfaction.
Yeah, right now, +2 infantry weapons is finished up for our Terran player Gumiho, and this could could create quite a problem.
Yeah, I just want to interject here. We don't actually have the third in-base CC I was talking about earlier. Normally this would be up forever ago. Gumiho is going really hard with this two-base play, and it's going to work great for him because Zenio, he's expecting this third to deny with these links, but there's nothing here.
Yep, and all the SCVs are pulled from the natural right now, and great splits on those Marines, and also a lot of SCVs still left to tank, not a lot of Banelings left, but 14 more are going to get morphed in
but they're going off
over
on the
in the main. Yeah,
Gumio's in this position where if these Marines are in danger, he could lift up and drop in the main and snipe from the top of the ramp. That third base is never the fun base to defend. Baneling's rolling in and getting picked off immediately, but these Roaches actually starting to power through a bit. But here comes that second wave from Gumio. He is a Terran player, Del. He is in full production.
Yes, and now these Marines are pushing forward. A lot of the Roaches are now dead. More Marauders, more Hellbats are coming in. A lot of Banelings are coming in right now.
Get these
great splits here, and a lot of the Banelings died before they could hit. And there's still a lot more for our Terran player right now.
It's
left.
these Hellbats that are the big threat at this point. Right now, Zenio's forced to remax on only Zerglings because it's all he can really afford. And sadly, Hellbats are kind of the unit counter to Zerglings. They've got Medivacs coupled with them. Now the third base has gone down, and Gumiho continuing to push with his very hampered economy. Some Ninja Banelings morphing in. Will it be enough, though, is the big question.
I don't know. He has his fire up, but he won't be able to have the gas to make Mulisks at all. And there is so much damage done so far. 36 workers killed by Gumio, 39 now, and still counting possibly, and a lot of Marines
finally
did die there
with
that
goes off. Yeah, I mean, you guys, the magic number is like 3. You want to get at least like 3 Marines for a Baneling for it to be the most effective trade. But I mean, Zenio's trading a lot of these Banelings for 1 Marine. We see him constantly funneling in. It's kind of a desperation move, and no one can blame him for that, but it's not the effective way to deal with this. Ooh, Hellbats trying to find a good position. Getting a couple good shots off. But looking back home at Gumio, the big problem once again comes in the fact that he doesn't have that third CC up yet.
Yeah, and now even with the Mulisks on the way, Zenio, he may be able to stabilize pretty easily, and with these Mulisks, he might be able to capitalize and just deal a ton of damage to the very, very low effective economy of Gumio right now, as there's very few SCVs, only 24. Zenio doesn't have a lot of drones either, but Zenio, he can take his third base, while Gumio still does not even have a third command center in his own main or at the third, and it looks like he wants to try doing a lot more pressure now. There are about 10 Medivacs still alive for Gumio.
This is where it becomes problematic, because he's got a lot of Medivacs. Basically every unit's going to have a personal healer. But look at this, there's Hellbats, there's Marauders, and low upgraded Marines. 2-0. These Banelings are going to smush right over them with this 2-2, and even the Zerglings afterwards stand a pretty good chance of doing damage. Gumio's going to have to really play this well if he wants to take this fight. Zenio, as well, can't make any mistakes. Every Baneling is so important.
Yep, and the Mulists look like they're going to be coming back home right now. The Zealots, or not Zealots, my bad, Marines and Marauders are over here.
Oh, but he's clumping, he's not splitting! He's doing the opposite of what he needs to do! Gumiho losing all of his ground forces instantly! But it's going to be enough to drive him back. There's still enough Marines here to scare the Mutalisks. The Roaches can't quite take these Marines head on. He needs the assistance of every unit on the field. But Dalk, I think Gumio's going to get cleaned up. I think Zenio's somehow magically going to hold this. Yeah, last unit's going down. Medivacs, of course, useless without units to heal.
Yeah, and right now these Mulists, they got lucky. One Baneling hit and lowered the health of a lot of Marines in that fight, and now these Mulists, they're going to keep chasing these Medivacs here, going to try falling them off, and this is such a lower count than what he had before the fight, and now there's just one more Zerg.
It's not even the Mutalist at this point, GG, but before we get out of here, it's not even the Mutalist at this point. He had no way to deal with the Roaches. Everything he was pumping out, 9 Marines at a time, that's what you do to deal with Mutalists, but not to the Banelings and not to the Roaches. Oh my goodness. Actually, let's check the resource last before we leave. Actually, surprisingly even at the end there. A little bit shocked.
Yeah, a lot of the units that Zenio had lost were Roaches and Zerglings, though.
Yeah, I guess throwaway units are throwaway units for a reason. But guys, that was it for the broadcast. Hope you enjoyed the game. I will catch you later.